Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another Hero Factory 2010 review. It's been a little while since I've done this, and I've decided to change up the style of doing these sets because these are not CCBS, these are pre-CCBS figures, and I actually never planned on doing this series anyways, but I did anyways because I've received support from all the other Hero Factory series that I did in Project Hero Factory, and you guys seem to love it, so I went on eBay and bought the Rise of the Rookies 2010 sets. So by the time you're watching this video, I would have already done Inferno Bike, I would have already done Bulk vs. Vapor, and I would have already done Rotor. Now, these four villains you see in front of you are like the four just standard size set villains. So I've basically taken out Rotor and Von Nebula because they're slightly bigger villains, they're slightly bigger sets, and they get their own individual videos. But I feel like these figures are just, there's not much to see, to the point that I don't need to do an individual review for each of them, plus it takes too long to post it. So I'll just make it as short as possible, and I've compiled all these four standard size villains into one video. So we have four standard size villains in the series: Xplode, Meltdown, Corroder, and Thunder. And we're gonna just take a look at each of them individually, of course, but it's just gonna make up this complete video as a whole. So let's start off with Xplode. Alright, Xplode. No one really needs to explain his abilities, you know, because it's kind of self-explanatory in his name. But I gotta say, this is one of the, I guess the design is pretty sick, not gonna lie. Like these same spike pieces you see it on Von Nebula as well. But I feel like the position they've been placed in is a little off. I feel like there could have been ways to make it better, because regardless, you will still see the exposed bone bits. Bones, and that is so exposed, and it doesn't really add it quite up, and I don't really think it is done too well. I don't know, I feel like I may have built it wrong, but I feel like it would have been better if the spikes were like completely like on this side, not tilted back. I know it's just for the sake of the looks, but I feel like it would look better if they did that instead. And I mean, these shoulder spikes are pretty cool pieces. Regardless, you got one at the back as well. They're just basically his exploding spikes. You know, when he'll just release them all and they'll explode in your face. So he's basically a walking bomb. But I gotta say, not bad. And I think just the positions of these spikes should be placed a little bit better, and I think that would have been absolutely perfect. Now, in terms of articulation, because the way his arms are built, is you can actually get some pretty interesting angles. I mean, he's got some really long arms. I'm not kidding when I say that. He really has long arms. Like, this is highly unnecessary, I believe. I feel like the arms are a little bit too long. They could next time shrink the arms if they were to create a figure or something like this again. Ball shooter, very straightforward. It's what you normally would expect. And in his other hand here, he's got a blade, a sword. Would you call this a explosive sword? I guess so. Yeah, let's call this an explosive sword. But let's take that off. Very simple build, and the blade itself is it's a very nice piece. I will definitely say that. And here's what he looks like when he's not holding the blade, and you just simply attach it right back on there. So it's good that he has a melee weapon. Some villains here don't have melee weapons, and I think it's gonna give them an advantage when they're in that one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat with the heroes. Xplode definitely will have a perfect weapon for it. Now here's his head. I think his head here is done pretty well. I think it looks really cool. It's giving me some Mohawk vibes because of the spikes on the top here. And just, yeah, and the way it's attached to this Corroder head, it is done very, very nicely. The mold of the head is very nice. Now, back then, you can see his main chest piece it consists of this tiny piece here. Back then, it was no CCBS, so the way the heads were attached is basically like that on a Technic ball joint. So it's very straightforward, nothing too shabby. Now, legs. uses, I've seen these pieces before. They're from Bionicle, but I don't like the way how loose this is. You know, the ankle part here. I feel like it's a little too loose, but these are some, I guess these are some interesting pieces, you know, the way they're attached to him. But just, yeah, this is so, like the ankle pieces down here are just so loose, it is unbelievable. The feet, black feet, which will later be used on Nitro Blast in 2011. But yeah, not a bad figure, but I do feel like this figure could use lots of improvements. So I think Xplode here will get a good 6 out of 10. Not bad. I just feel like his arms are a little too long. His arms need to be shorter. You know, I think they kind of overdid it with his arms. But yeah, that's Xplode. Next up on the list, Meltdown. Now, Meltdown is one of my favorite villains from 2010 wave. Because of the way he looks. He really reminds me of XT4. And like, yeah, he looks like XT4 and Voltex together. Like a hybrid between the two. But I feel like, yeah, his colors he's nice, and his overall look is really nice. And his whip, very nice piece. Same later used on Voltex. But the point of this whip is it contains like a toxic venom or something. And if you get hit by it, you basically fall under his control. He basically mind controls you if you get hit by this whip. So it's a pretty deadly whip. We've seen that demonstrated on Stormer and before him, this poor football guy. And yeah, this is a pretty deadly weapon, but the piece is very nice, and he doesn't really have any hands. You know, he's got this really big claw piece here, very nice piece. And yeah, I just feel like that is done very nicely, and you can see there's a hose here feeding to the canister containing all the venom. And then same thing with this side and with the ball shooter. Unfortunately, the way this ball shooter is attached is on a Technic pin, and it just rotates like this, and I am not a big fan of it. I'd rather have it just stuck in place just like that. I don't like how loose it is. It's just like, why is it like this, man? It just needs to be better. Like, this isn't good. Legs, what you normally expect. Same piece here from Xplode. It's just different colors, yellow. The thigh pieces here are done very nicely. Later they also use this in Vapor. This one's in black. I think these are some pretty nice pieces, given that, you know, this is before CCBS. They didn't have the armor pieces. Chest piece, same thing, kind of a black. You can't really see it, but it gotta really look in for it to stick out. But yeah, it's kind of camouflaged just with the torso there. And yeah, the same thing, feeding to the hose feeding to the canister with the venom, and on the back side just an exposed empty backside. But I guess it kind of fits well with this villain. I don't think it's too bad that the back is empty. Maybe a little bit of coverage would have been nice, but it's not too bad. Unfortunately though, the way his head is attached is he is extended out. It's got the fore lean, but it doesn't use the top of the torso here in the top ball socket here, meaning that ball socket is just left exposed. Now if you look at it from the front, you can't really see it. His head kind of blocks it. But if you look at it from different angles, and especially the back, you can see just how much it stands out, and that is not a good thing. I feel like that it shouldn't be standing out like that. That ball socket is really screwing it up, and yeah, definitely cannot stand out. But for the head itself, again, I said this reminds me of XT4. Not bad. I think this head design here is even better than XT4. But yeah, regardless, one of my favorite head molds, guaranteed. But I feel like, yeah, he's done very, very nicely. So I think Meltdown here is a strong one here. You know, in my opinion, I feel like Meltdown definitely tops a couple other villains. But again, he still has his flaws, like the ball shooter here, and that is still bothering me, and the part that ball socket just sticks out, and that is not pleasant whatsoever. So I think Meltdown here will get a 8 out of 10. Just 2 points off just because of this. Still bothering me. Holy Jesus. Okay, so yeah, he gets 8 out of 10. Not bad. Oh, here's an interesting one. Corroder. Corroder is basically the older cousin of Toxic Reaper. Yeah, he relies on acid and toxic substances as his weapon. And this villain can be displayed in different ways. Number one, like this, on all fours, makes him look like a frog, kind of like a frog. Or you can just stand him up and give him, like, you know, stand in an upright position. But I feel like if you put him like this, it kind of makes more sense. Because, look, his front two hands are just huge. And they all contain all the acid for him to shoot out. And it's just, yeah, these are super big and deadly weapons. For sure. And he's just got a random ball shooter on the side. I guess it's okay. You know, he needs a range weapon as well, because acid can only travel so far. So he needs some long distance shooting. The back is covered very nicely with, you guessed it, another of the acid hands. It's the same exact build as these two, except it's a third one and it's attached to the back, just like that. Which means underneath, the torso here is completely bare and exposed, but you can barely see it. Haha. You can barely see it because, yeah, of the way you display him. Now, unfortunately, the way this thing is attached is a little too much. Look, there's a big gap right there. I feel like that gap is too much. It needs to be closer to the torso. Because if you look at it from this angle, you can literally see it. And you can see that red Technic pin right there standing out. I mean axle pin, not Technic pin. That axle pin. It's not pleasant whatsoever. Only these villains, they can only look so well from certain angles. I guess from the back here, he looks pretty well. As you can see, the legs are actually very simple and straightforward build. Thighs like that, and then the legs are just, yeah, and then the feet. Yeah, nothing too special. But, yeah, so I say Corroder is good just for his huge hands, and I just think he should be displayed like this. Now, finally, the last thing we're going to show is the head. That head really reminds me of a rhino because of the horn at the front. Yeah, this is giving me a, like, yeah, I think his head design is actually inspired of a rhino or something. But it's okay. You know, I think it's a little too big for that Glatorian head underneath. But apart from that, I feel like it's a pretty okay head. And yeah, I guess it kind of makes, I guess he's like a toxic rhino or something. But I'm gonna give Corroder here a passable 7 out of 10. Maybe a little more from him. That gap will forever bother me. And I feel like just the head could use some work. But I feel like apart from that, this is not a bad figure at all. Definitely better than some other villain characters, I'll tell you that. But yeah, this is Corroder. And then last on the list we have Thunder. This is the last standard size villain set. And the last one we're gonna do on the channel, or not on the channel, on this video. I gotta say, definitely he could use some work. I'll say that. What are his abilities, you may ask? Well, given that his name is Thunder, he can create storms. Kind of. But I really feel like he could use some work. But he's definitely one of the taller villain characters, make no mistake. He's slightly taller than Xplode and slightly shorter than Rotor. But I feel like, yeah. First and foremost, his legs. His legs are done pretty nicely though, I'll say that. Feet maybe could use a better piece, but I guess it's fine. Yeah, the feet, very straightforward. It is completely double jointed. I mean, like you got the knee joints, and then you got the thighs joints, and you got the ankle joints, so that's good. All that's complete. The chest build, pretty nice. I mean, it goes all the way up, so it covers the torso quite well. It does use the stickers for these. These are not prints, these are all stickers. I just want you guys to know that. Head, The head is okay, I guess. Could use some work. Kind of plain, in my opinion. But I guess it's okay. Again, because it's got the leaning out position, it leaves the top ball socket on the torso here exposed again. Not fun. The shoulders are okay. This shoulder's meh. This shoulder, I guess the addition of this Bionicle blade from the Toa of Light, forgot what his name was. Not Makuta, I really don't remember, but it's the same mold piece. And using that shield piece as shoulder armor, I guess it gives them a cool look. I mean, yeah, definitely something I would not have thought of putting on a figure. So I will accept that. That looks pretty decent. The weapon, ball shooter, again, it has the same problem as Meltdown. Why is it just so loose like this? It's bothering me so much. Keep it locked in one place like that. How simple can that be? I don't know why it's like that. It's bothering me so much. And then this piece, pretty much the same. It's just all stickers again. It's the same build as the body piece, so it's nothing too special there. And then finally on this side, you got his basic thunder weapon. I think this is like a thunder claw, which you can open up like that. And I think this is what charges up the thunderstorm lightning thingies and shoot them at the heroes. So it's an okay weapon. I feel like if you look at it from a toy point of view and not like a lower point of view, just from as a toy, yeah, I would definitely have questions for it. But hey, regardless, I think at least they tried, and I think it's acceptable. It could use work, but it's acceptable. And yeah, that's the same piece as always right there. So Thunder isn't really a particularly strong one here, but he definitely has the strengths. Yeah, he's not my favorite, but he could be your favorite. But I feel like they didn't do a bad job at all on him. They did a pretty good job on him. But yeah, I really feel like this guy could really use some work. So I'm gonna give this guy a 6 out of 10 as well. Actually no, 5 out of 10, sorry. Yeah, so let's go 5 out of 10. I just feel like there could have been ways that this guy could be improved and be made a whole lot better. But that is my opinion, and now let's wrap it up because this is the last one. Let's go on to the final verdict. And so yeah, in my final verdict, I will say these 4 villains are pretty good. My least favorite though will probably have to be Thunder. I just feel like Thunder's lacking a little bit. I feel like his design is not the greatest, but he's still okay. But my most favorite from the 4 here, my number 1 will definitely have to be Meltdown, just with the way he looks and the whip and everything. He looks really, really awesome. I think he definitely looks super fit to be a villain. Kind of reminds me of Voltex. This is like the Voltex before Voltex. So yeah, so my order would probably be Meltdown, Xplode, Corroder, and then Thunder. That is my order. But then again, that is my favoritism order. You know, it's not the same as yours, or it could be the same, but you have your own opinions. So you tell me what you think from these 4. Which of these figures is your favorite? And thank you so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. The support will always help. And hopefully in the near future, after watching this one, I will be able to do the rest of the 2010 sets, such as the Dropship, Von Nebula, as well as all the 1.0 heroes. So we'll catch you all in the next one. Bye for now.